How you going, people? Well, man, I've been only getting like 1,000 requests to do. Is that a silencer or is that just like a can on that AR? Anyway, I got distracted by the guns. Uh, so this cop has been getting some pretty nationwide reviews, and look, the guy made a video and said it's BS that cops are out there enforcing these governor orders, and I agree with him, and his message is solid.
And having undercover agents go there and arrest them and charge them with what? With a crime? I don't know what crime people are committing by doing nails in their own house, but we're seeing this more and more and more, and we need to start looking at ourselves as officers and thinking, is what I'm doing right? Now, I want to remind you that regardless of where you stand on the coronavirus, we don't have the authority to do those things to people just because a mayor or a governor tells you otherwise. I don't care if it's your sergeant or your chief of police.
Okay, so here's where he kind of stepped on his pee-pee. Rick, he's a good cop, and now you're going to crack on him. I'm not cracking on him, people. I'm telling you how they're going to get him, how the system is going to work against you for speaking the truth. I always said I hated being a cop a lot of times because I lost my free speech. I couldn't say what I believed because I would violate policy. Most agencies have a policy. You won't talk about other officers. You won't say disparaging things about people within the department. You will get along with other officers. You will get along with other people. You will not disparage the department, the chain of command, or other officers to the public. So there's all kind of limitations on your speech when you work as a cop, which is why sometimes I defend cops for not turning in dirty cops, because they're going to get you. They'll come after you. So there's no incentive to be a good, responsible cop. There really isn't. There's only negative, because as soon as you come out, they're going to come after you. Kind of like they went after this guy. Now, this guy talked about the mayor and the governor, two political people. Cops work for the politicians. No, they don't work. They work for the people. Okay, you keep saying that, but I'm telling you, cops work for the politicians, the policymakers, and the chief of police, and who hires the chief of police. Now, the sheriff, because he's elected, has a little bit different chain of command. He doesn't report to anybody but the people, so therefore you usually get a little bit better service from your sheriff's department because the sheriff is elected and the people can hold him accountable, and he knows it. So he's less likely to become tyrannical. But there's plenty of sheriffs out there that are tyrannical. And you've got the left that says, oh, we love him because he's all about more rules and regulations, and he's enforcing no straws and no large sodas. And, you know, we love that stuff. He's protecting the environment, so we'll vote for him. We don't care that he's tyrannical and ignores the Constitution. So that's where this guy got in some of his heat. He pissed off the chief, the sergeant. He basically said, we don't get to violate the Constitution. We don't have to listen to them. So they probably got their panties in a knot a little bit, saying, who the hell is this punk-ass officer thinking that we can't take his badge and gun and we can't strip him of his powers? We, the government, give you the power. We, the government, can take that power. We'll take your cushy job. We'll take your good benefits. We'll take your good retirement. We'll take your pay if you cross us. So you better walk the line. So he got in trouble, and supposedly he was fired. So he did this follow-up video saying he got fired.
I first want to say I'm humbled by the response that my video got. It's been viewed millions and millions of times. People all over the country have been calling me, texting me, sending me emails, comments, and the overwhelming majority of it has been positive. And so I think that's pretty cool, because my whole thought process on making that video was trying to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the public.
Okay, one guy can't bridge the gap of all the negative that law enforcement does. One guy cannot say, I'm sorry that all my brothers in blue and the thin blue line are out there killing you people like freaking, sport, to where I just go out and shoot pesky citizens. One person cannot do that. I get it. He's trying to do the right thing. He's standing up. He's going to get squashed. I'm not cracking on him on that. But if law enforcement or government thinks that because one or two guys come out and say they're sorry and they don't agree with it, that suddenly that's going to change the attitude to all the other cops, it ain't changing for me. I'm a career 30-year cop. I'm done with law enforcement. I'm done until cops start going to prison, until the courts step in and say, stop using freaking dogs that chew on citizens as play toys. Stop shooting people when you don't do it, or we're going to send you to prison. Stop tasing and using all kind of unnecessary force just because you can, because you have immunity. Until that happens, my attitude ain't changing. Law enforcement is the enemy. They are a tyrannical, out of control, uncontrolled, just absolute. I mean, what law enforcement does nowadays is kind of makes the redcoats look like good guys. If you study history on what the redcoats did before the revolution, those redcoats were good guys compared to cops. And that's a sad but true statement.
And I've seen both sides with open arms willing to embrace that. And I think that's a step in the right direction. So that's pretty cool. One thing that I've seen come up over and over in the comments, and I've been in email, I figured I'd take a chance and give you a little synopsis of the last 3 days of my life after posting that video. So I posted the video on Tuesday, started getting a lot of traction. But the next morning when I woke up on the 6th, I think it was only at a few thousand views. And I had received a message from my command saying, wow, Greg, what a powerful message. We agree with that 100%. Well done.
Okay, so he's saying I got a message from my command. That could be anywhere from a corporal, sergeant. He doesn't say who's sending that message, whether it was the deputy chief or whether it was the chief of police. But that will be a huge thing in his defense, because they basically kind of approved that at that point. But that doesn't matter. Government can change its mind and change the rules at any time, and if you don't comply, you're going to lose.
And that was actually a relief for me, because I was like, great, I know that it's risky putting something out like that, but I felt like it was so grounded in integrity and liberty that no one would have an issue with it. So that was a relief.
Now, if he was a Ranger, he's got a Ranger shirt on. Look, I've always said I work with the Rangers in the military. I'll take Rangers into combat anytime, anywhere. Rangers are my brothers in arms, and every time I work with those guys, they are shit hot. They don't play. They take care of business. They're probably a little bit more violent and aggressive than most of the public would like to think about. But to me, in combat, man, that's who I want. If I'm going in, give me some Rangers, and we're going to do a lot of damage.
And then fast forward 3 hours later, I get another phone call from my command, and it said, hey, Greg, the video's up to 400,000 views. It's time to pull the plug on this thing. And I immediately, it kind of caught me off guard, because I said, why would we want to pull the plug on something that was already acknowledged?
Okay, so just because his supervisor told him that it was okay and we support you, and now they've changed their mind, what could have happened? Well, maybe the mayor called. Maybe some of the public officials or maybe some of the public that promoted the mayor or paid the mayor called him and said, hey man, I don't like the message sent. Maybe some other cops went and cried to the union or someone and go, hey, this is going to bring heat on us. He's making us look bad because we're out here beating the shit out of people, and now he's saying we shouldn't. There's all kind of things that could have triggered the change on why they told him to take it down. Can your supervisor or your boss in any job say, do this, and then come in 5 minutes later and go, I don't want you doing that. I'm changing it. This is the way we're going to do it. Of course he can. He's the boss. So when they came back and said, change it, and he said no, he's setting himself up for a fireable offense. If you fail all agencies have a policy. If you fail to obey the orders of your superiors, that is a terminationable offense. You can be terminated for that.
As a good and powerful message from one law enforcement officer to others. And I said, yeah, that doesn't really make sense to me. I think maybe we should embrace this message and we should share this with other officers. And he said,
well, guess what? Your boss doesn't really give a shit what you think. Rick, that's not fair. He's trying to do the right thing, and he's a good guy, and you're making it. I'm just telling you reality, you big dummies.
I said, listen, it's not up to me. I have been directed to tell you to take the video down, and I need to know if you're going to take the video down. And I said, no, I can't take the video down.
Okay, so he said this is where the cops got him. His supervisor, notice it wasn't the chief. Whoever called him was the supervisor sergeant and said, I've been directed to tell you to take the video down. Are you going to take it down? No. That's disobeying an order. You can be terminated for that. Sorry.
Because if you listen to my first video, the whole message that I was trying to share with people and cost you everything. And like I said last time, I have 3 little kids. I have this house. I have another house. I cannot afford to lose my job. But after putting that message out there and sharing that with America, and it was so well received, I can't then just...
He's got this big house and another house? Wow. Making pretty good money. Rick, that's overtime. He's working hard. He's the thin blue line. He's a hero. All right, whatever.
Say, even though that's what I believe, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to retract my words, and I'm going to allow my command to prevent me from sharing my heart and my truth. And I said, so...
Command doesn't care about your heart or truth, people. I got in more damn trouble for trying to freaking talk common sense when I was working, but I knew where the line was on where I could get fired and when I couldn't.
With that in mind, sir, I can't take the video down. And, you know, I didn't know where this was going to go. And I got called back a couple hours later, and by this time, it was skyrocketing. Everyone in the agency was seeing it. Cops from when I was an officer down in Los Angeles, they were contacting me. I got a call, and it said, listen, the video needs to be taken down right now, and you need to accept a letter of reprimand. Or we're going to take a very different approach to this.
Okay, when the agency gives you an option, I told a cop story, a crazy cop story, where a SWAT dude, what did he do? I can't remember. He was a sergeant. He did something, and they tried to save his job and say, hey, we're going to, if you don't fight this, we're going to send you back to patrol. We're removing you from SWAT. I forgot what he did. He did something pretty serious, and they could have fired him. And they go, look, we're going to kick you out of SWAT. You're going to go back to patrol for 2 years, and we'll see where it's at. We'll give you a letter of reprimand and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, fuck you. I ain't fucking leaving SWAT. You ain't fucking removed. And they fired him. They said, sorry. They called him back like 2 hours later and said, okay, that option's, you don't have the option to go to the other agency. Now you're fired. And it withheld. So when you start playing with them, you better be on the right side. And believe me, I went through this when I fought that dirty DA. I said he's trying to get me to commit a felony by holding evidence from a death penalty trial, and I ain't going to do it. And I was on solid ground, and I had to fight, and I ended up winning my job back. But they didn't lose. I mean, they still got to trash me and go through all my stuff and everything. But still, you got to be on good grounds, or they're going to be able to terminate you, and you're not going to be able to win. Now, this guy may win his job back, but
if you say no again. Well, I'd already put myself on that hill, and I had to be willing to die on that hill. They said they determined the video was a violation of policy, and that if I wouldn't take it down, that allegations would be made against me, and so on and so on. And so I told them, no, I'm not going to take it down. You do what you need to do. But the principle of it is rooted in truth, and it was a positive message. And it was interesting because they kept citing different policies, like, oh, moot point to me. And it was strange because why was the message okay at 5 a.m. and then 3 hours later?
Because I'll tell you why. Because as your boss, I can say, I get to dictate, I get to change the rules. And if I don't want you saying something, I can tell you not to say it. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And in the military, it's even worse. Shit, I had a sticker on my car. I went to legal and tried to fight it and got my ass in a jam with my captain because he was like, you need to take that sticker down. I find it offensive. I go, that's my personal car. I'm not taking it down. And the sticker was dial 911 because shit happens. That was the sticker. It was in the back of my car, and I just stuck it up there because I thought it was kind of funny. I don't remember, somebody gave it to me or I saw it somewhere. I don't remember how I got it. But anyway, my captain said, I find that offensive. We need to take that down. I go, man, that's bullshit. I said, I don't think you can tell me to take it down. God damn it, Gore! I said take it down. You don't take it down, I'll have your ass court-martialed. I said, I'm going to legal. See if it's a lawful order. So I go to legal, and fucking legal goes, hell yeah, he could tell you to take it down. He goes, you're lucky he ain't court-martialing you now. You should have took it down when he told you. It's an order. You don't have the right to say whether you agree with it or not. I was like, damn! Another lesson from the pesky government that I learned. Well, actually, I didn't learn, but I lost. Anyway, I digress.
There was a problem with it. And so I was later contacted by the chief of police. He's someone that I have great respect for. He's a good man to work for. And he's the one that shot me straight. And he said, Greg, if you openly defy your governor, you can't be a police officer in the state of Washington.
Oh, so the chief said, because he mentioned governor. Remember I mentioned earlier, he mentioned the governor, the mayor. Now, obviously, this is coming down from the governor. The police chief told him, if you disobey the governor, you can't be a cop. Now, people will be like, well, Rick, they took an oath that they don't have to listen. They don't have to, but they don't have to work there. So, I mean, that's the dilemma that everybody wants to think cops. I'm not justifying cops out there killing and doing things they shouldn't have to do. Remember, since the Supreme Court ruled that cops have no duty to act, they have a super big loophole now to where they do not have to respond to calls. They don't have to risk their life. They don't have to do anything. They can just be paid to be out there. The Supreme Court said cops have no duty to act, and policy cannot override law. You cannot make policy that contradicts law. If the Supreme Court said cops have no duty to act, Agencies cannot make policy that you have a duty to act. Agencies already can't make you risk your life. There's been several cases where women run from gunfights, leave dangerous situations, and said, I'm just not capable, and they were praised as heroes, and they do not get in trouble because they're told they know their limitations, and that's good. Well, if they're good for leaving, then why can't all cops just leave? Why can't all cops just say, I ain't going, I'm not getting involved, I don't want to get sued, I don't want to violate policy? Best way not to violate policy is to do nothing. Best way for pesky citizens not to violate the law? Hide and do nothing. That's what happens when you have so many laws and so many policies. So anyway, now there's a new article out that this guy didn't even get fired.
From a fellow police officer who pointed out and was very verbal about his thoughts that I believe many of us share. I decided to make my own video, encourage others.
Okay, this cop in his video says about the same thing. He's got his American flag there. I wonder why he didn't have a blue line. Why isn't he disgracing the flag like the other little blue line punk gang members? Why does he have a real American flag instead of his blue line flag? Maybe this guy is a patriot and not a little shrill like the rest of the punks out there with their blue line flag disgracing the American flag. But I digress.
Recent months is none other than what I believe is going to be viewed as one of the biggest power grabs in American history. We've seen the Constitution seemingly suspended and constitutional rights of citizens tossed aside under the guise of safety and security, something that we've seen before as well. You know, I swore an oath to the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I stand on that oath, and I will continue to stand on that oath, and there is not a human being that can myself and the Constitution.
Okay, when you make statements like this as a cop, you're basically challenging your administration and government to say, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong that you can do it. It's almost like putting an egg on your head and running around and daring people to smash it. Sooner or later, somebody's going to take you up on it and smash that freaking egg. So, I'm not saying this guy is wrong for what he's doing. If all cops did this, administration wouldn't fire them all. Because then we'd have no police force. They'd have no money. They'd have nobody to supervise. They'd all lose their jobs. They'd have to hire other people. Doesn't matter. They would just hire a bunch of freaking quota hires anyway, just to fill the positions to get free money. But again, if all cops did this, unity is the way. If a few citizens with guns stand up and go, enough's enough, isn't the same as if the mass of citizens stand up. And if a couple of cops stand up, it isn't the same as if a mass of cops. There is not a mass of cops standing up, people. These two guys are the exception. There may be a few others that may not want to say it, and when shit hits fan say it, but the majority, 90% of cops, in my book, are a lost cause. They're not Americans. They're not patriots. They don't care about the Constitution, and they damn sure don't care about the pesky citizens. All right, so this is on Joseph Weiss, another hero we need to unlock down. We'll see what happens on all this, but everybody's been wanting me to cover these guys. I'm not sure what else there is to say. I mean, I agree with their message. I agree with what they're saying. But unfortunately, the law is going to be behind their agencies when they start terminating them or coming after them or trying to investigate them or finding them for violation of 1,000 policies that they let everyone else get away with. And now suddenly they're going to hold these guys accountable because they're not. These guys are going to be known as they're not team players. We have to have team players. Team player is the code for the gang, the blue line. Support your administration. We're the cops against the pesky citizens. That is the code, okay? And when you're not a team player, that means you're for the pesky citizens and you're not for us. And we can't have one of those pesky citizens in our ranks. All right, we'll end that there.